So I can put a specific numbers here, like 100 for x of the car 0, 300 for x of car 1, and even 900 for x of car 2. Now you should say, hey, stupid teacher, 900 is too big, it's out of the playing field, and I can say, I don't care. Because if the player is good, he will be able to overtake this car. He should just press the right arrow key long enough to reach those cars too. So I will also make the cars on different Ys, for example Y500 and Y20, Y300. And I will also need to copy and paste this piece of code. This line moves the enemy cars, and I should execute it for car 0, car 1, car 2, and I should be careful when I copy and pasting like this, and I should also draw all the enemies with a copy and paste. I think you are noticing that I intentionally or not am making mistakes that you will also probably do when you are copying and pasting. So please don't copy and paste code like this. I already told you that the good way to do what I did is with for loops. I hope that I am now seeing enemy cars, and I'm kind of surprised that I don't see any enemy cars. I should look in my code for any mistakes. I think that I'm looking for a specific piece in my code in which I'm using real enemy car X, not like an array, but instead just like a specific variable. And perhaps on such a line I'm breaking the array if it's left from the equal sign. If I don't have index here, on line like this I will break the whole array. So please have always square brackets for each array, and try to be careful to pick inside of them only index that is inside the sizes of this array. So I think I'm only using indexes such as 0, 1, and 2. I can be very careful, and perhaps I will see my first mistake that is doing something wrong for all of the enemies. But if I'm not able to be very careful, then there are other ways to see what is going on with my code. And such ways are to print the values of my arrays, my variables. Let's see what is the value of enemy car Y. It looks just fine, just in the way that I created it initially, because I don't have any place in my code where I change the values of the elements in this array. Let's see what is happening in enemy car X. Real enemy car X, I think, was the name of my array. And it also looks kind of fine, kind of... Well, those numbers are so big, and my player is just in the left part of the playing field. But those numbers are after a lot of movement for these cars, and it's important what is the initial condition of this array. So I'm going to refresh the page, and now I can see that in my array I can see really nice numbers. And even in the beginning, one of the cars, the slowest of the cars, is still in the playing field. I'm not able to show it this anytime, but you can see that this time we should be able to see a car in the playing field. So apparently there is something wrong with the way that I draw the cars. Those are the numbers that I use for drawing the cars, and actually car 0 is the car that I really want to see because the other cars are a little bit ahead of it. So here I'm going to write all of the digits that I give to this printed line. Let's see what is going on. And I can see that this is undefined, which is kind of strange. Perhaps this is a good moment to wake up and start to realize that actually screen enemy X was not an array. Screen enemy X should not be used in this way. I was so eager to copy and paste, to make everything an array, and to make it without for loops, that I even didn't look at what I'm doing here. So actually screen enemy X is just one variable that should get its value here, and perhaps it gets a nice value if I don't put an index. Let's use screen enemy X just like this, and let's see what is going to happen. Well, now I can see another bad value for screen enemy X. Why not a number for screen enemy X? You can see that I'm giving a nice value for it here. And if you are not able to see what is the problem with this line of code, with this evaluation, you can make more printings, and I can print real enemy car X, I can print camera X, and I can print their difference, which is going to be the value for screen enemy X. So I will print real enemy X minus camera X, and let's see the first three things that I work on each line now. Well, I get -10 for a value of camera X, which is nice. If I move forward my car, you can see that this number is increasing, I think. And it depends on how fast I'm moving. So, yeah, now the player is apparently on 6,000, 7,000, and he's still moving a little bit slowly, or perhaps not. But there is something much more wrong and horrible, because I'm trying to subtract this position of the camera from, well, this array. Not any of the elements inside of it, but the whole array, and this is a problem. Perhaps if I didn't did so much copy and paste, I would not let this happen. I can write here a specific index, but apparently I don't want to draw all of the cars on the same X. I want to draw the different cars on a different X. I can actually use a different versions of this formula directly here without using screen enemy X, or I can copy and paste this line to be before each of the drawings of an enemy. So then I will be able to write here 1, write here 2, and I think that everything is going to be fine now. You can see that when I start going forward, I can overtake the enemy cars, and if I slow down, they are going to overtake me. And well, this is pretty nice. There is one strange thing that two of the enemy cars are on the same X, because here I gave them different X's. I wanted only one of the cars to be too much to the right, and instead I have two cars too much to the right, and I'm pretty scared by this. Is there something wrong with this code? Let's see what is going on actually in real enemy X now. Perhaps I should delete the spam console logs at line 18 and 26. Or I can just write real enemy car X here. I remind you that I want to see different values for all the three cars. Actually, this is not needed, sorry. I can see the values of real enemy X here. And yes, index 1 and index 2 have the same value for some strange reason. So, why would this happen? Could this be because of a strange error that only copy and pasting can cause? And how to understand which part of all of my copy and pasted code caused this mistake? Well, luckily for now I don't have so many places to ruin everything. But if you had a lot of places, a long code with a lot of places to change real enemy car X, then it is going to be much harder for you to find the problem. I will show you the problem now. It's of course this two here. Of course, I wanted the first element, the element with index 1, to increase with 5 over its current value, not to add 5 to the value of another index. Of course, here should be 1. And now we can see the three different cars on their different axes, and I think that everything is much better now. I hope that you like it very much more. But of course, there are going to be problems. Now I have to start writing a totally new code that is going to be much longer, and perhaps we will need to change it a lot. And if I decide to copy and paste it again, it's going to be really horrible. Of course, I'm talking about the code that is going to check arc widening. So please don't copy and paste this code too. I will write it just for enemy 0. And then I'm going to leave you to implement for loops finally. I think that some of you have already did it, but for those of you that still haven't done it, this is the last video that I'm not going to have for loops, and in the next video I'm going to show them, so please try to do them before. And the arc widening that I'm going to show you now is going to be really hard without for loops. So what I'm going to write inside of it can be the for numbers from the context view rect, and this is going to be a really bad idea. Please don't copy and paste all of those now. We can find a way to make it work. Of course, we are not going to use the screen enemy X that was evaluated on the previous line if we don't copy and paste this line too, or if we don't copy at least this formula, and then finally to add the other three values from the drawing of the car 0. So we can call it like this, and then we have to add the 4 numbers for the player. But if you think, what is this 10 actually? This 10 is my real my X minus 10 plus 10. What? Wait, what? I'm trying to tell you that, sorry, this is not the correct formula. It's real my x plus 10 minus camera x. Anyway, what I meant to say was that this is a really strange way to evaluate our screen coordinates. So we can use screen coordinates for collision check, because if we are colliding on the screen, we pretty much should collide for real too. But isn't it going to be much more easier if we write in the are colliding only the real coordinates? So I'm going to subtract all of these things about camera x, and I'm going to subtract them here. And now what I have here is not exactly the same as the numbers in the context field rect. But what this is actually is that this is the real coordinates in the playing field, which is, as you know, huge. The playing field is not 800 by 600 pixels. It's now infinity pixels for x by 600 pixels for y. And I have written coordinates that are totally inside of this endless playing field. So if I write an if like this one, I can do anything for a collision handling that I want. For example, one thing that I can write here is my speed x to be immediately equal to 0. And this is kind of okay. If I hit an enemy, I have to immediately stop and fix my car. Perhaps it's not very physically realistic, but let's see if it looks fine for our game. Well, it totally did not. I'm kind of scared by what happened, but I collided with this car and I didn't enter the curly brackets of the if, perhaps. I can be sure whether I'm entering them or not if I delete few console walks that are spamming. And instead of them, if I write a new console walk that just prints boom, I want to see boom printed when I hit car, and I didn't see any booms now, which is kind of strange because I apparently hit the car. Perhaps I have something wrong with all those variables here. I can print them, and you will see that we really hit an enemy car according to all of these numbers. I will again have a lot of spam, and you can... Sadly, we don't see the last line of the prints currently. Yeah, now I can see everything. So let's go chase an enemy car. I think that now everything is okay for a collision. Well, no, it isn't. Why the car that I'm checking about colliding is on Y500? Well, actually, I am checking only about car 0. And of course, I will have no collision with car 0 when actually the only car that I can hit is car 1. This is the car on a smaller Y. If I check for a collision with car 1, I will need to change this, and I will also change them in the console walk. I can see that now I am going to have better Ys, and I can also see my cars stopping, and I also can see hopefully a boom printed on a collision. Perhaps, I don't know if this happens. Yeah, I can see this boom for a while. Yay! There was a boom, it will be much easier to see if I don't have this spammy console walk. And let's see whether I will hit. Yay! Apparently I scrolled too much. Now it is going to be much more easier to see that the way that I'm stopping when I hit the car. And I'm really happy with this. But I'm not happy that I got one more hidden bug. And it wasn't even a bug. I was just written this code about car 0, and I was surprised that it is not executing about car 1. Of course, I can continue with the copy and paste, but please, your only task now is to delete all my copy and paste and implement all our car features, initializing them or putting them on some random location, moving them, and you can combine in the same for also checking for a collision and collision handling with the player, and finally drawing them, which should be in the third for that you are going to write in the draw. After those changes, our code will be much shorter. Good luck, create for loops now.